Our planet is everyone's business because our future lies in our own hands. Our common home, the Mother Earth, is in danger, and now it's crying out loud to each one of us. Can we hear the cry of the earth? Guyana is a rich nation with its natural resources, flora and fauna, and its inhabitants. Guyana plays a significant role to the world of health and world of goodness. Apart from us, there are wonderful creatures that keep our ecosystem intact. It's our dear land of rivers and plains. It's our dear land made rich by the sunshine and lush by the rains. It's our beautiful Guyana, which is the home of nearly 800,000 people of 6 different peoples. It's the home of beautiful creatures, great and small. Its savannas, its mountains, its jungles, and all it contains make our nation beautiful. It makes us beautiful, and it's our pride to contribute to the world in terms of health. But this very beautiful nation, this very dear land of Guyana, is in danger. We, the one people of 6 different races, are in danger. All the creatures, great and small, is in danger. Our ecosystem is at threat. At the end of it all, we are going to pay the price for the danger, because nature doesn't need us, but we need nature. Our future is in our hands. If we don't wake up, we will never have our future. Our children and their children will go to bed with no water or less water. Future generation will go without proper oxygen, and hence we will walk the path of doom. Why is our planet in danger? Because we want more from our nature than we want for our greed, not for our need. Human greed has filled the pockets of few and made other few homeless and natureless. Exploitation is at its best in our land. This has caused our land to mourn, and we have failed to see the mourning. The church is on the forefront of evangelization and helping the kingdom of God to grow in our own land. Our Holy Father, Pope Francis, has called on the world to put a stop to the decretion of our common home by presenting a letter to the church and world leaders to reflect and act. The letter of Pope Francis is called Laudato Si. This letter is a super guide for the church and the world leaders to see, reflect, and act. The vision of Pope Francis has came to us in Guyana. The vision of Pope Francis for the environment was brought by Cardinal Humez. Cardinal Humez visited and highlighted the significant role of our involvement as church. The people gathered at this meeting with the Cardinal spoke on the urgent need of caring for the environment right here in Guyana.
E dentro desse contexto que surge a Laudato Si e a Conferência de Paris, Conferência sobre o Clima.
And so out of this context has arisen Laudato Si and also the conference that took place in Paris.
Eu estive em Paris nessa conferência por 10 dias.
I was in Paris for 10 days with this conference.
Então se conseguiu perceber o que de fato estava sendo discutido, o que está em jogo em toda essa questão das mudanças do clima.
So it became very clear in that conference in Paris what is in question with climate change, the important issues that this question raises for us.
Se nós sabemos hoje que nós temos apenas curto tempo para mudar completamente a nossa forma de tratar o planeta.
It's very clear that we only have a very short time in which we have to completely change our way of relating with the planet.
Por quê? Porque há atualmente aquecimento global muito grande e esse aquecimento global devasta o planeta e ele é produzido sobretudo pelo gás carbônico.
So we see the effects of global warming that is caused by the use of fossil fuels.
Esse gás carbônico é produzido pelo petróleo, pelo carvão mineral e pelo gás natural.
So the use of coal and petrol produces the gases that are causing climate change.
Portanto, eu preciso trocar o petróleo, o gás carbônico e o gás mineral, carvão minerado e gás natural, trocar por outras fontes de energia limpas.
So, to respond to the issues of climate change, we need to change where we look for our sources of energy. We cannot look any longer for petrol or natural gas or coal. We must be looking for cleaner energy sources.
Vocês podem imaginar como é que o mundo vai trocar o petróleo por outras coisas, quando hoje tudo é tocado a petróleo, a começar o nosso carro.
But just imagine now how difficult it will be for the world to change from the use of petrol. Tom Crowley says he even came today in the car which needs petrol.
Toda a indústria, todo o transporte, toda a produção de energia, tudo é petróleo. E tudo produz gás carbônico. E isso tem que ser afastado.
Or our industry or our transportation, everything is dependent upon the use of petrol, and this is what is producing the greenhouse gases.
Temos no máximo um século de tempo para fazer isso, no máximo.
We have at the most
Um século
100 years
para fazer essa mudança.
to make this dramatic change.
O ministro francês dizia: mais tarde, tarde demais. Plus tard, trop tard.
Later is too late.
Devemos começar já.
We must start now.
Deveríamos ter começado há um século.
We should have begun 100 years ago.
Então, só para dizer que dentro desse grande quadro, desse contexto, é que o Papa escreve a Laudato Si e nos diz que ela tem motivos religiosos, porque nós cremos na criação, cremos um Deus que criou, louvamos a Deus, devemos cuidar do planeta que Deus nos deu. Tem um motivo ético, porque devemos cuidar dos pobres e das gerações futuras. E tem motivações políticas, econômicas, tecnológicas.
So it's into this context that Pope Francis is writing Laudato Si that raises religious questions, but raises also social questions, economic questions, as we reflect on the reality that we must confront.
E a REPAM começa o seu grande trabalho, a REPAM, dentro desse contexto. E, portanto, um trabalho fundamental hoje em dia. Nós pedimos a Deus que nos ilumine para fazer um bom trabalho também junto com a Guiana.
So it's into this context that REPAM, this network for the Pan-Amazon churches, is doing its work, and it's a work that is so important, and we pray that God will give us force to be able to do that work.
And thank you for that.
Saint Pope Paul II said, and I quote, "God gave the earth to the whole human race for the sustenance of all its members without excluding or favoring anyone. A type of development which did not respect and promote human rights, personal and social, economic and political, including the rights of nations and of peoples, would not be really worthy of man. The natural environment is a collective good, the patrimony of all humanity, and the responsibility of everyone. There is the fact that people no longer seem to believe in a happy future. They no longer have blind trust in a better tomorrow. We do need to slow down and look at reality in a different way, to appropriate the positive and sustainable progress which has been made, but also to recover the values and great goals swept away by our delusions of grandeur and of course. It is instructive that His Holiness Pope Francis's encyclical Laudato Si, issued in 2015, 50 years after the Second Vatican Council, should be the instrument that prompts a visit by the Pope's personal friend, His Eminence Cardinal Claudio Humes, to the Amazon countries, to inquire what is being done by the Church through its social apostolate to implement the requirements of Laudato Si. I posit that the church and its social apostolate should do 4 things. 1, provide exemplary leadership and guidance for citizens to look introspectively at ourselves so as to re-establish core values that shape character and influence our sense of social responsibility. Secondly, to work with local agencies and institutions to help to design and construct a new and sustainable foundation for social cohesiveness in our families, our communities, and our nation. Third, to counsel and educate citizens to recognize, respect, and reflect in their behavior and actions the interconnectedness of social cohesiveness and environmental integrity. And 4, to be an advocate and catalyst to promote collaboration with all countries who share our common home in this region, to care for our common home, the Caribbean Sea, the Guyana Shield, and the Amazon. Thank you.
Cardinal Hume spoke about prophetic voice and be courageous. Now sometimes what happens to our people is fear factor. Now for example, people dredging and mining and so on and so forth. They are big multi-million companies, and sometimes we think that our voice may not reach them. Even if it reaches, it is just just ignored. So how in this situation, how can we encourage our people of Guyana and everybody in this nation, particularly in Pan Amazon, to encourage them, even if it is a small voice, isn't it? So what do you say about it?
Well, I think communities, first of all, need to be together. If we do this on our own, we will be risking ourselves, and we would also be probably losing the sight of where we're going. So we really need to be together, be organized. Secondly, and I think this is where the church also can play a very important role, we need to be informed. Sometimes we know something wrong is happening, but we don't have clear information of what that is. So we need to really find a way to have good information, relevant, that can help us make the decisions that we have to do. And I think the third point is the church is a structure which has a very important legitimacy, even beyond our borders. So this is what REPAM is trying to do. We need to connect with others outside of our country who are struggling and suffering with the same situations, and be together and speak with one voice. And as we know, the church has a very important influence, even more today with Pope Francis, at international forums. The preservation of the forest that you have here, we'd love to have people to come here and learn from the experience. And at the same time, we have some very concrete experiences like the formation program on human rights. We would love to have people from Guyana to participate in that. We have a formation process for pastoral work, which can really respond to the reality of the Pan Amazon. People do great things with very little, but we think the territory is changing. So the pastoral also needs to respond to that reality. So we will try to have itinerant teams going around the Amazon. So we would like to offer that so they could come here, exchange experiences with you, and stay for a while and create a formation program that fits the reality here. We're also doing some communicational programs. We're trying to create networks to give tools for people to do their own process of speaking out, and doing it in a very, very clear perspective with the social teaching of the church, but also with a perspective of advocacy. So we have materials and people prepared to come from other places. It's not that we will do it from Ecuador, but we will get the right people to come here. And yes, I think pretty much what we hope is that you can come up with a proposal, as it happens these days, and you could invite us to connect with you, and let's work together. So
That's wonderful, Mauricio. Thank you for talking to the media, and we are very glad to have you. Please come back anytime, and thank you so much.
thank you very much,
Thank
Jerry,
you,
and
yes.
thank you for your time and for this beautiful welcome that we've had here in Guyana. We hope to be back very soon.
Pope Francis has written a letter addressed to every person on this planet, urging us all to protect the earth, our common home. In the letter, he says, "The earth is God's gift to us, full of beauty and wonder, where the fruits of the earth belong to everyone. But what we see today is that our common home has never been so hurt and mistreated as it has been in the last 200 years. We have developed at a greater speed than we could ever have imagined. We have treated the earth like it has an unlimited supply of resources, taking more than our fair share from most people on the planet, as well as future generations to come. We have stripped the earth of its natural forests, contaminated the earth's waters, its land, and its air. Plants and species are becoming extinct at an alarming rate. The earth, our home, is beginning to look more and more like an immense pile of filth. Our increasing use of polluting fossil fuels, especially coal, oil, and gas, is helping to drive climate change, which is one of the biggest challenges we face today. Climate change affects us all, but it is the poorest communities who suffer the most. We are now at crisis point, where the future of our common home is under threat. And despite this crisis, there seems to be no slowdown in the lifestyles of the rich nations. Enormous gaps between the rich and the poor continue to rise, between those who are trapped in poverty with few or no resources, and those who are consuming and wasting at an ever-increasing rate, leaving a trail of waste and destruction. Our digital world is also polluting us with noise and distractions, stopping us from learning how to live wisely, to think deeply, and to love generously. Real relationships are replaced with virtual friendships, which we can choose to accept or reject, making us dissatisfied with true, deep relationships, or can give rise to a new sense of isolation. Yet, despite all of this, all is not lost. Young people demand change. Young people want to build a better future, which takes seriously the environmental crisis and the sufferings of the poor. So we can change. We can make a new start. To protect our common home, we need a common plan. The whole human family needs to work together so that we may sow beauty, not pollution and destruction. Our use of polluting fossil fuels also needs to be replaced without delay. And we need to stop treating the world's resources as an object for profit, with no thought on how our actions might affect the environment or future generations. So let's put love for the world and love for our neighbour into action by living together in harmony, listening to one another, caring for nature, and getting involved with society and politics. Let's undergo an eco-conversion in which we listen to the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. This means taking seriously things like avoiding the use of plastic and paper, reducing water waste, separating rubbish, and using public transport as a part of our calling to protect creation. But more urgently, we need to slow down on how much we consume and throw away. We can find great joy and freedom in living simply, rather than always on the lookout for what we do not have. We are capable of these changes and making a new start. So let us make that start today. Signed, Pope Francis. Laudato Si, a letter from Pope Francis on care for our common home.
This is an open letter from you and me together. Tomorrow's in our hands now.
Find the words that matter, say them out loud, and make it better somehow.
Looking down from up on the moon, it's a tiny blue marble. Who'd have thought the ground we stand on
Could be so fragile.
This is a love song to the earth.
You're no ordinary world, a diamond in the universe. Heaven's poetry to us. Keep it higher.
to do her best. From deep sea straight back to Everest. She under greater stress unless you wanna be motherless. Green heart is the way I dress. Speediness and too much greediness. 6 billion people all want plentiness. Some people think this is harmless, but if we continue then long live the emptiness.
This is a love song to the earth. You're no ordinary world. We're timing in the universe. Heaven's poetry to us. Keep it safe. Keep it safe.
Special paradise.
Keep it safe. This is a love song to the earth. We're no ordinary world. Timing in the universe. Heaven's poetry to us. Keep it safe. Keep it safe. Keep it It's our world. It's our world. 'Cause it's our world.
So maybe you could treat me with a little more respect. I suppose you still want to eat, right?
What next? Future is in your hands. As church, what would you like to do? Meet up to sweet up our environment, for it belongs to you and your children. Do it now or never. Later is too late. Let us act now.